My name is Sony. I'm 18 years old, and this is my 2014 Nissan GTR. When I was 16 years old, my first car was a 2010 Nissan GTR. Now, I wasn't just handed all these cars to me, I actually had to work. Growing up as a kid, you know, I would go to like these little car shows in my area with my uncle. You know, he was really into cars as well. But you know, it wasn't really like cars you see now, since it was like a really long time ago. But I was really obviously motivated from first watching the Fast and Furious movies. This is my dream car that I always wanted. I got it at the age of 16. Unlike many other kids that, you know, would usually sit at home and play video games or just hang out with their friends, I was out there working every day since I was 13 years old. You know, my uncle has his own business. It's a printing business, and obviously, you know, it took a while for it to actually start up and get going. You know, everything wasn't handed to him either. You know, he started everything himself and got to where he is today. And I obviously started working with him at 13. I said, I want this car. I want this car by a certain age, and I want to have it. It's my dream car. Set a goal. And, you know, at 13 years old, I was helping him out with whatever he needed. Always went to work with him every day. Came home from school, went to work, came home, did my homework later, everything. I was always just working. As soon as I hit 16, I said I had some money that I obviously saved up. I saved up all the money that I received. I didn't spend any of it because I wanted this car by a certain time, and I knew what my goals were. And as soon as I turned 16, I had my permit, but I didn't have my license. So obviously I still needed, like, you know, a co-signer and everything else to go up there with me to get the car. I searched for probably about a month or two and found the right one not in my area, but, you know, about an hour and a half to 2 hours away, which wasn't too bad. And I found the one I wanted. It was a 2010, had pretty low miles, and I said, it was bone stock, and I said, this is the one I want. So they were obviously, my parents were on board with it, my uncle was on board with it. You know, I earned the money and I could do what I want with it. Obviously, you know, the day before I left, you know, I just couldn't sleep. You know, all the anxiety and everything just building up. You know, it's like nervous. You know, just buying my first car, it's being a Nissan GTR. You know, it's other people's like dream cars too, and they expect to own it. You know, I'm getting it at such an early age. You know, instead of spending my money on like something else, and I bought this car. So, you know, we went up there, and it was like, you know, it was a big facility. You know, they had a lot of cars in there, like, you know, a lot of like high-end cars. Like, they had like a couple Bentleys, but mostly it was Mercedes and Audis and things like that. You know, mostly German cars. And, you know, we got the car, you know, got everything done. My parents came with me, and then, you know, we left that day, and I came back. I was so happy, you know, just having this car at 16 years old. No one, I don't think anyone I know, or I've even seen on the internet, you know, 16 years old having a Nissan GTR. And I can never forget the first day. You know, I took it to school, I just showed up, everyone just like went crazy. You know, they all ran up to my car, like, oh my god, I can't believe you have this car. You know, everyone, you know, obviously get hate from it, but, you know, I don't listen to the hate. But everyone was still just like, oh my god, I can't believe you have this car. Like, what did you do? What did you do? You know, and basically, you know, it's what happened. So I'm about 6 months down the line. I still have the car. You know, it's still bone stock. I couldn't really, after me still paying the payments on the car and the insurance and everything, I couldn't really afford to upgrade the car myself. So it stayed stock. And what I really thought was, if I really want to get upgrades, you know, why don't I just sell the car, and later down the road I can get either a newer one, and that's already been upgraded, you know, decent, like, you know, not crazy upgrades, but, you know, just like good upgrades that would make the car a little bit more fun. I mean, it was a fun car, but it was like quiet, you know, it wasn't really that crazy. You know, eventually, like, the wow factor of the car, after you keep driving it, you know, you don't really feel the rush anymore. So that's exactly what I did. I sold the car, and about I'm 16 now. I was 16. Now 18. 2 years later, I had enough money, and I kept searching and searching and searching for the right car that I was able to buy. This one was actually in New York, which is the one I'm sitting in right now. It's a 2014 white premium edition GTR with full bolt-ons. And it had an exhaust, it has injectors, intakes, downpipes, midpipes, catback. And also, my favorite part is, it came with the loudest exhaust I've ever heard in my life. This thing is just ridiculous. They told me like the guy that put it on there, it cost them like $6 grand to put this exhaust on here. It's the loudest thing I've ever heard. It's so crazy, dude. My neighbors hate me. Every time I turn it on to go to like a Cars and Coffee event at like 7 or 8 in the morning, dude, I get like messages from my neighbors like, what the hell, man? Like, why you gotta go out? You know, it's fun. And now, I'm not sitting here, you know, just sitting here bragging about the car, you know, showing it off and everything. I'm here to just basically tell everyone that they can do what I did. It's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. I did it. Why wouldn't you be able to do it? You know? If you really want to achieve your goals, actually like go out of the house and, you know, find something to do. Get a job. Any job for that matter. You know, and you can just save up all that money on the side and get what you really want. Set a goal and just go for it, you know? No matter what, don't ever listen to what anyone says that, oh, you can't do it. It's not possible. It is possible. I've done it and you can do it too. Thanks everyone for watching. If you want to know anything more about the car, you know, just leave a comment, like, subscribe if you haven't already, you know, and we'll be putting out more content of this car. Thank you.